One more for the orphan. In a small orphan, in a small village in Russia, there was a young boy. His hair is jet black and messy, and his tattered jeans and old dingy gray shirt. Nothing is known for him. For 10 years he sat in the bed in his room, never moving, never blinking, never eating, never sleeping. In the 10 years he has not seemed to age at all, continuing to look like a 7-year-old boy. The only thing that proved he was alive is the slow rise and fall of his chest as he breathes, and the refusal to take his eyes off anyone who enters the room alone. A lone cipher, whatever that is, just came over in an attempt to find out why the boy had done nothing for 10 years. He entered the room and shut the door behind him. 30 minutes later, the orphan nurse came to check on the two of them. Opening the door, she saw the child still sitting, still not moving, eyes fixed on her. However, something seemed different. He appeared a slight amount larger, not by much, but enough to make him look like a late 8 or early 9-year-old. The psychiatrist was no longer in the room. The door was the only exit, as the room had no windows, vents, or anything, and it was, in fact, in the exact center of the orphanage. He continued to sit there, only seen occasionally by the lady who came in to check on him, and she never closed the door upon entry. A week or so later, 2 law enforcement personnel entered the orphanage, demanding to speak to the boy about the disappearance of the psychiatrist. The two of them entered, closing the door behind him. As the head of the orphanage stood outside the door, 30 minutes passed, and not a sound came from the room. The head eased the door open. The boy was still on the bed, but the officers were no longer there. The boy was quite noticeably bigger, about the size of a 15-year-old. His skin was darker than usual, and he looked angrier than ever. But one thing remained the same: his cold, unforgiving eyes that stared at whoever entered. Eventually, the law organized a large group of 10 officers to speak to the boy. They entered the room and left the door open until one of the young orphans ran up and shut it, apparently in a daze. The head quickly ran to reopen the door, and upon doing so froze him in horror. A low rumbling noise came from the room. One more. If you return to that orphanage, you will see it still continues to run. The orphans live in good care, health, and education. However, there is one room that you still see is boarded up and far from enterable. If you ask what is behind it, you will be removed forcefully from the orphanage. However, when no one's looking, if you place your ear on the door, you will hear a low, ominous growling sound. And if you listen for a bit, you'll hear one more.